Check it out. A lizard so nice, they named it twice. Pull up your pet. Pet department's coming up. Hi. Hi everybody, welcome to the Pet Department. I'm Steve Walker and this is Jack. Now, what I'm referring to in that little cold open there is iguanas. That was an iguana I was holding. You may not know the scientific name is iguana. Isn't that cool? It's one of my favorite scientific names. I just think it's kind of neat. And this is Canis. No, it's not. This is Jack the dog, and he's my co-host. And he's very interested in what's going on up here. I'm going to tell you about all this stuff in just a second. First, though, you just sit right there. Settle in with me because we have a really good show for you today. Very interesting. Beginning with a road test on iguana. This is a green iguana. Tell me that isn't a gorgeous animal. This one's name is Ichabod. He is rather large, and we will find out that, yes, indeed, iguanas do get pretty darn big. We're also going to find out they are one of the fastest growing lizard pets that people have, and we're going to find out how to take care of them. And how to keep them as a pet. And we're going to find out that they do make a very good pet if you know what you're doing. Isn't that right? Coming up also later in the program, Suzanne Wong is all the way down in the ballroom. Suzanne?
Yes?
What are you doing?
Take a look at this, Steve.
Very weird.
This is just one of the items for What's Hot for Your Horse that's coming up later.
I thought it was Moominshans making a comeback for a second. We are going to do What's Hot, and I can't wait to see some of those items because they are very high-tech, right, Suzanne? Some of them are pretty high-tech.
That's right.
All right, thank you. Enough interpretive dancing, I think we speak list and tell you exactly how to do this. It's really fascinating stuff. Look at right before the show, I just happened to, Clara Zwerble, one of our producers, brought these chocolates. This is my pet peeve, America. Come on in and see this. It's the snatch and run. Somebody takes a bite and then leaves. What is that? Like someone else is going to come and go, I think I'll eat the other half of that chocolate. So I won't bite. Exactly. So by the end of the show, I want to know who snatched and run. Also, I have been teaching Jack some new tricks. I wanted to share one with you all and explain just real quickly how you can teach your own dog. Look how attentive. He's capital A attentive, aren't you? He's all ready to go. What I have taught Jack to do is a very simple thing you can teach your own dog to do. It's really just to hold on to an object in his mouth. And I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Lou Franco, who's hiding behind the piano back there, actually helped me train this because you do need to use consistency. The first thing that I do, take an object that he's used to holding on to, like a ball that your dog loves to play with. Take it and put it in his mouth just gently like this. And say, kind of help him hold on to it, and say hold, and then release, hold, and I'm going to back off, and then take it out of his mouth and say, okay, all done, and then give him a treat. You notice the important part is there, I took it out of his mouth and said he was all done. That way he just won't drop it whenever he feels like it. Now after you do this for a couple of days, and he gets the idea that every time you say hold, he's supposed to keep it in his mouth, it's a good idea to change the weight and the size and the consistency of the object. This is when I give him his paycheck every day. I teach him how to hold. So this is a $20 bill, and I'm going to show you the same kind of process. You just kind of pry his mouth open and say hold, hold, and you notice I hold my finger up. That tells him to keep holding. I take it, all done. Okay, and you can see that he did that. And finally, the true test is something that's a little weightier, and that's kind of tougher to do. And we're going to try this book. I've never tried this, so I'm going to see if it works. Okay, ready? Hold, hold, hold. You can see he does a very good job. Hold. Okay, and then he lets go. So that's a very easy thing to do. Try it with your dog, and then let me know how you do. Consistency is always very important. Must be consistent. All right? Are we fascinated? Are we educated? Are we ready? Here's a Pet Department road test. I'm trying to think of another animal that has a double scientific name like that, iguana. I know we went through this and there were 3 or 4 of them. Maybe I'll think of those by the end of the program as well. And Jerry, you didn't take a bite out of that chocolate and then run,
No,
did you?
it wasn't me.
All right, just making sure. The iguanas that we have on the program today are truly beautiful animals. They are becoming very popular. We thought it important to tell you the things that you really need to know because a lot of people get the animal and then don't know how to take care of it. Jerry Williams is here. These guys come from Central and South America, and they are iguanas. Most of the ones we have are green, except for one spiny iguana.
A baby spiny tail.
Okay. And how old is this one that you're holding
this
right
one,
now?
This is FX. He was first introduced to this show when he was a tiny baby.
That's right. He was only about
eight or 9 inches long. Now he's about 30 inches long.
So they grow pretty fast, right?
Well, he's a year and a half old, and he's been well taken care of, and so this is what he should look like.
Let's talk about some of their care, starting with the tank issue, because this is where people immediately go wrong. We only have one iguana in this tank, and really that's the way it should be, right?
Well, I've always thought it would be better to keep one at a time because they do manage to injure each other in arguments, fights over territory in the tank, so it's better to keep them in one at a time in the tank.
Okay, we also have some substrate, we call it in there, some chips.
Yes.
What kind of chips are those?
Well, these are pine chips.
Okay.
And the pieces of wood are mixtures of some vines and things. Anything that they can crawl up and get closer to the heat source.
Which brings me to the next thing. You got a light up there. Got to keep it kind of warm in there, right?
Right. Well, they need to bring their body temperature up to at least 88 degrees to properly digest their food. So that would be on once-a-day basis thing. You have to have the opportunity.
Is the other light a Vitalite?
This is a Vitalite. It's a fluorescent type of special bulb which allows the body to change vitamin D3 into calcium for their body growth, and it needs a special light that gives the UVs.
Which is something they need. The other thing is, and I'm going to go ahead and block you here for just a second and grab this food. People are always surprised, I find, when you tell them that an iguana is a vegetarian. They really generally don't eat meat, that they would prefer to eat this kind of stuff. How varied does their vegetarian diet have to be?
Well, it should be as varied as you can make it. You find things that they like better, but always keep new and different things coming in to try because all the green leafy vegetables are very good.
Not iceberg lettuce, though, right?
No, not iceberg lettuce. It's the only thing that has the least value of vitamins to it.
Let me see if I can get Ichabod to eat. Icky, you want a little lettuce? He's really content. I don't think he's very hungry at the moment. We'll let him just sit right there. How old is Ichabod, anyway?
Ichabod is 8 years old now.
He's a big guy.
Yes,
How long do they live?
They can live as long as 15 years, and, well, I'd hope that he lives to be 20, but 15 to 20 is about absolute max.
We're going to be talking later in the program about testing the temperament of a dog before you get it. You say that after you get one of these guys, it's going to be a while before you really figure out what kind of temperament they have?
That's true, simply because with all my experience with different iguanas, they have all had such different personalities.
And it takes like a year before you realize it?
You really can't tell just how they're going to turn out.
Okay. You also have some good advice for first-time buyers. When we first get the iguana home, don't handle it. I would think you would want to handle it, but you say at first, just let it chill.
Right. To rush into handling is only going to increase the amount of stress that they're going through. And they've gone through, you could be sure, a lot of stress prior to you purchasing them out of a pet store.
I want to show this iguana back here, this female that you've acquired fairly recently. Can you go ahead and lift up the tail there? We want to get a shot because what happens if you accidentally grab the tail while they're running, they just let go of their tail, don't they?
The tail will pop off at different sections, different points. They control where it will pop off.
Okay.
If you get close enough, you'll see that this right here is where the tail had popped off.
And then they grow
I would say
back.
when it was younger. And it's grown back to allow it to have a formed tail, but it didn't grow back as long and as pretty as it would have.
Don't freak out. They will grow back. But it's generally a good idea not to grab a hold of the tail, certainly.
Right. The tail can separate if they're frightened.
Is it a good idea to handle your iguana, though, every once in a while just to get it socialized to you?
Oh, you must keep it socialized, too. It'll return to being wild if you don't continue to handle it all the time it's growing.
Let's talk about some of the numbers when it comes to iguanas as we wrap up the Pet Department Road Test for today. This is the iguana, the green iguana, but you're going to find many different types of iguana out there. Anywhere from $12 up to $400, really depending on the age and the rarity of the animal. Vitamin supplements, yes, the light. I'm going to ask Jerry if we need anything in terms of food beyond that. Make sure the tank is big enough, otherwise they're going to get stressed out and they can get some snout damage. They are prone to some kinds of kidney diseases and metabolic bone disease. That's if they don't get enough sunlight. And you're going to have to clip their claws. You really do have to do that. Also, they absorb stuff through their skin, so it's important to keep their tank clean and also bathe them. What do you use to bathe them? Some rep rinse?
Actually, I just use warm water
Yeah?
to bathe them and keep them clean. But it's necessary to give them a bath at least once a week.
That's funny, huh?
Because, well, one, it helps the shed and keeps the skin nice and healthy. But they also absorb moisture through their skin, and by giving them a bath, they bring up the amount of fluids in their body to what they need.
I want people to see just how calm and tame. Now, iguanas do have teeth, but look at that. I'm scratching the top of his head, and his eyes start to close. He's such a nice animal.
Yeah.
And in fact, Ichabod is going to be featured in Elle magazine. Next, I can't believe the number of celebrity pets that we managed to book on here, but we find him somehow. Jerry Williams, as always, a pleasure to have you, and thanks for bringing all your iguanas today.
You're very welcome.
Coming up later on the program, Suzanne Wong is up on her high horse, and she's got what's hot for us coming up. But next, we're going to show you how to pick a more perfect puppy. Advice you need to know before you choose your dog. Don't go away. Welcome back to Under Scrutiny. Tonight we're talking about people who bite and run. I want to know who bit and run. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. All right, well, you're not watching Under Scrutiny, and I'm not Jane Wallace, but we do have a photo du jour for you today. This one in a frame that Jack is very attached to already because, that's right, it does have lots of treats around it. This is a golden retriever named Katie and a half lab named Briku. Both dogs were adopted from the pound. This was sent to us by Robin Ellison of Napa, California, a beautiful part of the country. If you'd like to send us a picture of your pet, this is how you do it. Write to the Pet Department, P.O. Box 825, Madison Square Station, New York, New York, 10159-0825. Here's the fax number if you have a comment or a question. As always, we'd love to read it, 212-802-4204. Andrea Arden, Pet Department Trainer, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Now, I've got a box of chocolates here, just like life, and I was wondering if you might have bitten and run.
You caught me, Steve.
Did you really?
Me and Rusty, we each had a little bite.
Did you? Okay. Well, at least you fessed up. That's all right. I'm still going to let you do your segment. Because it's a very important one today. If you're going to go pick out a puppy, there's a really good test you should know about before you do it. And Andrea's here to tell us about it. We've talked about this before, temperament testing. This is a real thing, right?
Yep, it's very important. It's probably one of the most important things you can do when choosing a puppy. You know, once you've narrowed it down, if you're going to get a certain breed or you're going to go to a shelter, what you need to do next is decide which individual dog you're going to choose for your family. The three basic personality types you have to choose from are the dominant type puppy. That would be the puppy that would probably run out to greet you right away. He'd be bouncing all over the place, having a lot of fun. Now that may seem like a great puppy to choose, but if you're the kind of family that wants a quieter dog and doesn't want to spend quite as much time doing active things with your dog, that may not be the perfect puppy for you.
And you tell me that there are three specific tests that we can go through, right?
That's right.
What's the first?
Well, the first test that you can take with your puppy is take your puppy to a quiet area. The reason we want him in an area where there's not a lot of other puppies around or other people is so that we can get an idea of how well he can focus on you and what's going on. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to test our puppy to see how he follows you. We normally wouldn't have the puppy on a lead, but we try and have him in an enclosed area, which we don't here. So what we're going to do is just get the puppy's attention using maybe a toy or a little piece of food, see how he'll run towards you. This puppy tends to have a little bit more of a shy personality. He's a little hesitant, and he's focused on what else is going on. That might be right for the person who wants to spend time really bringing this puppy's personality out, socializing him really well.
What if the puppy just comes right at you?
Okay, a puppy that follows along with you and trots along at your side might be a nice moderately tempered puppy, and that could be good for the average family. But a puppy who runs right ahead of you and just charges ahead may be the type of puppy that's maybe a little too dominant for some people.
They would be hiring you later on, probably.
Exactly, that's right.
Okay.
That's
What's
right.
the second test?
Okay, the second test is we're going to see how well our puppy handles restraint. Now, this doesn't mean that you're going to flip the puppy over and hold on to him too tight. It just means you're gently going to pick him up. You can either lay him on the ground or just gently hold him in your arms on his back and see how he handles it. Some puppies, for example, a dominant tempered puppy, might start to bite at your hands and squeal and really try and get away. A puppy who's moderately tempered maybe would squeal a little bit and then relax. And a puppy like Rusty, who tends to be a little shy and a little calmer, would probably just lay there and let you do whatever you wanted to him.
Okay, and generally the puppy is going to be a little smaller than Jack, right? So you won't have a problem.
I don't think you should try and pick Jack up. No.
I got him on his...
you did?
Hold him
Wow.
like a big 60-pound baby.
That's
Okay,
right.
is that the end of the restraint
No.
test?
Oh, that's the end of the restraint one. The third one we're going to try with the puppy is, again, we're going to gently hold him, take one of his paws in your hand, and you're just very, very gently at first going to squeeze his toes, in between his toes. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to pinch him so that he gets really upset, but you're just pinching him enough. You want to see what his reaction is to slight pain. You're going to see how sensitive he is and how forgiving he is of you.
What if he's in a coma like Jack is?
Well, then again, that's a puppy who, again, is very submissive and very subordinate. A puppy who squeals and gets really crazed and acts as though you've, tortured him is probably a puppy that's going to take a little more time to get used to you touching him.
Okay. Any final tips on all of this?
There's a big final tip. I know a lot of people go out and get puppies, and right away, the first day they see a litter, they pick out a puppy. Try and go visit the puppy a few times to see how he is on different days, because just like us, he may be having a bad day the first time you visit him.
That's such a good idea, and as you said, spend as much time as possible with
Before
the
you
puppy.
take him home, that's right.
After you've done all these tests on the puppy you're holding, what do you think of that dog?
I think Rusty tends to be a little more of a shy dog. He was kept inside until he was about 4 months old, which I think now it's maybe his third time outdoors. He's really interested in what's going on, but he's also a little reserved about it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pet Department
Thank
Trainer
you.
Andrea Arden. I think Jack, you're very, very sweet. We've had to bring him out of his shell, and I think he's responded quite well. I saw the strangest thing in the newspaper the other day. When we come back, we're heading right down here. We've got What's Hot, it's horses, it's Suzanne Wong. It's next. You're not going to go anywhere. Welcome back to the Pet Department. New door knocker? No. It's just one of the products that's What's Hot today. Suzanne Wong is here to tell us about what's hot in riding tack. So if you're one of those 6 million people that has horses, listen up, because we have some really innovative, interesting things to show people.
And you said I was on my high horse earlier.
It's just an expression.
I actually put the saddle on backwards before.
Did you?
They were giving me a hard time. I don't ride horses, I'm sorry.
It's okay, but you
I know
know about
all about
these.
new and blazing saddles for you. This is called a Wintec Contour saddle. This is a high-tech saddle.
What
This is
makes it
different
high-tech?
from this standard saddle is made out of leather. This, if you take off the top of it, has this
Wow.
airflow foam molded seat. So if you can feel it, it's much more cushioned. It's much more
Right,
comfortable
right.
for the rider and for the horse, right?
It's like a pair of Air Jordans. It's like that same kind of stuff.
Exactly. And this gullet is actually adjustable to 5 different widths, so that if your horse gains or loses weight,
Wow.
you can adjust it, and you can also use the saddle on different horses if you want to.
All right.
So,
And then that just slips on top.
and it slips on top. This is made of this material called equisuede. Can you say that?
Yeah, equisuede. It's one of those new words.
Right, and you don't need saddle soap. You just need to hose it off, as opposed to,
Having to really
maintaining
take care of
a
that,
leather one.
exactly.
Right. Now,
Okay.
okay?
All right.
Now this is going to run you $439.95.
Is that more than a regular saddle?
I don't know.
Not sure.
Is it?
Yes,
it
it
is.
is.
But
All right.
it's probably worth it.
Well, it has
I would
different
think it
things,
would be.
so we're going to say it's worth it. Now I get to help. I take this off.
Take that off.
All right.
This is called a Wintec swap top, okay? This is what I was performing
All
with,
these
the
big
Moomin
words,
shunts. Right.
yeah.
Now this, you can just slip it right over the saddle that you already have. And it's, it's fun, it's colorful, it's good for if you want to go out, riding for fun, for training.
I see. So
So-
these are basically the same. This one just is a different
Right,
material. and
but
a
it's
different
brightly
color.
colored. You can wash it. You
I
wouldn't
see.
want to use it for competing or for
Certainly
bad weather.
not. Okay.
But it's like having a second saddle.
Okay.
And this is going to run you $139.95.
So after you spent the initial $400, then you can always swap a swap top.
Exactly. And you
I'm
can have a
getting
lot
there.
of different types of colors.
Now you left something
Yes.
sitting over here.
Now this is called a super gel pad. It's made by Roma, right?
Ew,
I
it's
feel it. It feels
weird.
like dough. You know what it reminds me of? Did you ever make
Chocolate
that
chip
coffee
cookie dough.
cake or dough where you put it in the plastic bag and you squish it up? You don't know what I'm talking about.
No.
Anyway, this is made out of medical grade super gel, and it evenly distributes the force over a greater surface area, so it evenly diffuses
So
the weight of the rider.
Is this instead of the regular saddle pad?
Yeah,
we'd
because
put on?
if you look at these old, you used to have to use wool, cotton,
Yeah,
multiple
yeah, yeah.
layers. Now all you need to really use is this.
Okay, I wonder
Right?
I wonder how, and I know you may not know this, but I wonder if that makes the horse sweat more, or if they don't mind it, or does it?
I don't know, but I
don't
do
know.
know that your horse's back will be much less sore if
Well,
you
that's
use
a good-
this.
that's
so
a
that's
good
thing.
thing.
And this is
Okay.
going to run you $79.95.
Okay, and I would check with probably either your vet, an equine vet, or maybe talk to other people who tried them and see if the horse sweats more. Now
Now
these,
we've got
I know,
snaffles, right? These are called snaffles.
that's part of the bit.
These are nathe loose ring snaffles, right?
Okay.
So your traditional metal or rubber ones, the metal can cause irritation and discomfort,
Let me show
right?
how it goes in the, obviously it goes in the
Right.
horse's mouth like this and tells him which way to go, but metal on teeth would not feel
Right.
so good.
Rubber they can chew through, so
Okay.
that's not going to be good either.
So we have
but
another
this
high
one,
tech.
hypoallergenic plastic. They can't chew through it. It won't cause allergies, and it's a lot more comfortable for them.
Okay,
And
how
that's
much does
going to
this
run
cost?
you $149.95.
Wow.
No,
$114.
$114.95.
Still though, that seems like, I guess it's worth it, but it seems like a lot of money. I guess it's
That's
expensive
too much.
having a horse,
It
isn't it?
is.
Let's
Take good care of your horse.
Take this one back then, because I just can't afford all of these products. We want to thank Miller's here in New York City for all these wonderful, wonderful, wonderful products. And I'm going to ask the question of the day today. Are you ready?
Yes.
It has to do with birds. What breed of parrot has the largest vocabulary? And what I mean by that is probably has the ability to learn the most words. We're going to find out when we come back. Lots of parrots are good talkers. The African gray by far is really the best. It can mimic the human voice, can really sound like you, and has a vocabulary of hundreds and hundreds of words. I wanted to show you're holding on to a spiny iguana, which is just another subspecies of the iguana. Go ahead and, there you go. And you see his little tiny spines back there. Want to also say that I guess we figured out Andrea Arden bit and run, which really, I'm telling you, it steams me, Andrea. Please don't do that. But thank you for your involvement as well. And did you notice Barry White? We have a guest. Barry White has joined us today, ladies and gentlemen, an unscheduled guest. No, he's not. He's just here watching. We'll see you tomorrow on the Pet Department. It looks like him, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.